Good afternoon and welcome to Flatrock Poetry Open Mic. So glad to see everybody here. Today our feature is Henry L. Jones. Did everybody get something to drink? Okay. My name is Amy Jackson. I'm the host, and I was going to read a poem before. I've got one long one and two short ones. The first one is called No Apocalypse. It's a short one. The other one is called Deco, like Art Deco, and it's a short one. And then the long one is Train of Thought. So you guys get to pick. A short or a long? The long one. Okay. You got it, man. Okay. Also, these are quality stickers are up front. They're free. You can put them on your car. These are awesome. Okay, I wrote this up when I was living up in Maryland for around 11 years and just got to know the area really well. Train of thought, what you don't know. I'm a walking paradox on my way to the car. In my dreamy state, I'm awake, still dreaming in traffic. A long white expanse with its red lips. Meanwhile, each of us in our little car boxes, our little worlds. It's another beautiful day dawning at the Department of Energy. The geese are on the lawn near the barricades. Good morning, you're a mama's boy now. Your mouth out full in a wide pink yawn. Your mouth down, slugging the travel mug. A strange place again in my mind. A languid dream, a baker's dream of delicate recipes. A welder's dream of merging disparate elements in the night of dreaming. During the day, plumb the depths of night. Night work through bruised pavement. Bump, groove, grind. I want to make the signs. Still feeling it. Blind, still steering. The peaceful state of Genevieve. The colors of the walls change when she touches them, and on their way, on their own, the telephone poles switch to schooner masts, and she's off in the middle of your conversation. The moon is waiting for the night trains to fly to it, for the airplanes to glide to it on silver rails. Make some zigzags in the parking lot on my way in, sudden as a laugh, as light as feeling 19 again. All the unused dental floss waiting inside in their encouraging little boxes. The best intentions of the world curled up on the spools. Your dirty ambush, a red bruise all up against my sex, burning glare and spilling your anger out at me. You have no idea. Explosive sex in his mouth to find out you're 19. Write some positive erotica, a long silk love letter to my red. Make it right again. I'm tipping it over now, you can't see. You don't even know me. I'm ripe and I deserve to be. Me now again with my jumble head, my circus head in the jumble field, the circus fields, the sea fields, in the picnic bed with the bit torn on. Download this. The coal black birds in the jumble house of the tumble down mind, the jumble mind. I sure could use a ukulele and some barbecue, a moonlit night, and a very slow dance under shimmer trees. The train comes just then and the bar goes down. Holy roller, holy sweep. Streaming and it's gone. The shortest of trains now for lack of passengers. Ghosts of 40s A trains and red cabooses. Jasmine train, jazz invention. Jazz engine, jazz freight train. The velvet underground of your mouth. Bliss charter, crystal transport. The train of your understanding. Cross some nameless bridge, some damn fool done cost it out. All the nice birds, the sweetness returns from Cabin John to Glen Echo, all above the swirling green, bird on a quest. Meanwhile, the clouds above the traffic stop some smooth building interrupts. The pieces come in backwards, making more sense surreal. The sky is full of clouds for Howard Finster. He's up there putting faces on each one. He says, get back on with your zigzag, girl. Get back in with your light. Equanimity to the bubbling sea of us, humanity, planet bulging with veins, and lightning quasars at night. Electric light still a miracle somehow. Now that's some kind of serious wonder. Rinse, repeat. Thank you so much. happens. Awesome. Okay, our first reader today, our fellow poet, is Robert Stone.
I hadn't written any new sonnets since the last time this meeting happened, so I went back and found an old one. This is from 2010. It's called Infatuation. I won't give you a big story, but I met somebody 3 years before that I was infatuated with. Time was when love for me was all unknown, and I would jest that such did not exist. But then one day, a day that seemed a clone of other days, there came an unseen twist. My eye was restless, waiting for a sight. My ear was keen to hear the faintest sound. My heart was fluttering, unsure what might be right or wrong, and so in doubt, fast bound. These feelings for another then I thought were love, for only these had seized my heart. But year by year I still am slowly taught to label false and seek the truthful part. Infatuation is a ghost that fades, but will not disappear into the shades. Thank you.
And now we have a new poet, BrinnaJ. Let's say your name.
BrinnaJ.
BrinnaJ. There you go. Welcome.
Okay. So I'm new at this. So I've been to other venues and things, and I'm still finding my way. But I'm a translator by trade. It's what I do. It's my passion. Giving people a voice that may not have a voice in this country is how it got started. So then a few weeks ago, somebody asked me to go to one of these in Murfreesboro, and I did. And she said I got the bug. So I started writing instead of translating other people's stuff. I started writing my own. So there are 2 poems, maybe 3. It doesn't matter how many languages you put them in. The one poem will never be the exact same as the other poem that is in another language, because feelings and emotions can't be translated. So I'm going to do the one that I wrote in English, and then I'm going to do the one, which is that one, in Spanish. Your trust I do not have. I cannot trust you are in it. I'm sorry, let me start all over. Your trust I do not have. I cannot trust you are not in it to earn it. You're only in it for yours, just you and only for yours. And how I do not like for my feelings, emotions, the way I was made are as precious. I need someone who can value them. You left me with tears in my eyes. You did not take into account. Your confidence is not as I offered you for me. Don't you understand yet that for a man it is not solely physical? You take too long to draw in that sand. Time to learn, it's emotional. Between me and my body, your touch. You have to connect with my mind. I am a woman. I cannot trust you yet. What will you do for me? You take too long to draw in that sand. Oh, time to learn. It's emotional between me and my body. With your touch, you have to connect with my mind. I am a woman. I cannot trust you yet. What will you do for me? So, tu confianza no tengo. No puedo confiar en ti, no estás dentro para ganarlo. Solo estás para ti mismo, solo para ti mismo, y esto no me gusta. Para mí, mis sentimientos, emociones y mi forma son preciosos. Necesito a alguien que va a valorarlos. Tú me dejaste con llantos en mis ojos. Ni tomaste cuenta, tu confianza no es lo que te ofrecí para mí. Tú no entiendes todavía que para una mujer no es física. Tú demoras para aprender, es emocional entre mi ser. Con tu toque tiene que hacer a mi mente. Soy una mujer. No puedo confiar en ti todavía. ¿Qué harás para mí? Demoras mucho para aprender. Con tu toque tiene que hacer a mi mente. Soy una mujer. No puedo confiar en ti todavía. ¿Qué harás para mí?
Another?
Yes.
Go for it. Okay.
This is a long
We have the time.
one. Okay. Okay, well, for this one, I usually get someone else to read the English, like my translator. Is anybody would like to volunteer? Okay.
Do you want me to stay there?
You have a microphone? No?
No, it's cool.
We can share.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Start. Okay. Start.
¿Morirás por mí?
Would you die for me? Here we go.
Pensarías que porque soy mayor, soy más sabia, pero no tener estas preguntas flotando alrededor de mí.
You think because I'm older, I'm wiser, to not have these questions floating around.
Estoy dentro de mi propia experiencia, fuera de mi cuerpo. En este momento, ser o no ser, esa es la pregunta. Algunos, muchos de ustedes y yo, nos cuestionamos.
I'm inside my own out-of-body experience. In this moment, to be or not to be, that is the question. Some, many of you and me, we ask.
¿Cómo él puede verme? Si solo soy una imagen en una pantalla, belleza, que a mí misma dice eso.
How can he see me if I'm only an image on a screen? Beauty, what does that say to me?
Si solo soy una imagen en una pantalla, y ¿cómo puedo ser y tú hacer algo más para mí? ¿No lo ves?
if I'm only an image on a screen? And how can I be and you be anything more to me? Don't you see?
¿Darías tu vida por mí? ¿Darías tu vida por la mía? Y si fueras ciego, ¿qué harías por mí? Atención, yo y solo yo no puedo ver. ¿Morirás por mí?
Would you give your life for me? Would you give your life for mine? What if I was blind? What would you do for mine? Attention? Me and only me. I can't see. Would you die for me?
¿Me conoces? ¿Me conoces? Si no hemos hablado en el último año, más o menos, entonces probablemente no. Por favor, no digas que me conoces y estar todo encima de mí no me ahogas.
Do you know me? If we haven't spoken in the last year or so, then probably no. Please don't claim to know me and be all up on me.
Sé que te dije antes lo que hago para ganarme la vida y en mis más de 40 años he aprendido que una mujer debería demorarse en revelarlo todo.
I know I've told you before what I do for a living, and in my 40 plus years have learned that a woman should be slow to reveal everything.
Por favor, no me entiendes. Oh sí, me entiendes, porque siempre seré yo todos los días. Ahora volviendo a la historia que estoy tratando de contar.
Please don't get me, because I will always be me. Now back to the story that I'm trying to tell.
No soy un hombre, sino una mujer, y por lo tanto tengo autoridad para hablar con las chicas y damas. Solía tener problemas con el rechazo y la baja autoestima. Sin embargo, ahora he aprendido que si me rechazas, mi padre ya te rechazó y por lo tanto no tengo nada de lo que está triste, solo para estar contenta.
I'm not a man, but a woman, and therefore I have authority to speak to ladies. I used to have issues with rejection and low self-esteem. However, I now have learned that if you reject me, you were already rejected from me by my Father, and therefore I have nothing to be said, only to be glad.
¿Me conoces? Con el don pides mi atención, sin embargo es para su propia concentración. ¿Y cómo debo responder? ¿Por qué debería reconocer?
Do you know me? With the click of your mouse, you petition my attention. However, it is for your own concentration. And how should I respond? Why should I pay you the recognition?
¿Me conoces? ¿Me ves como soy a la imagen en tu pequeña mente? ¿Aún encontrarás alguna manera de conocerme? E incluso en mi notoriedad, además, cuestiono, ¿me conoces?
Do you know me? Do you see me as me or the image in your small mind? Will you still find any way to know me? And even in my notoriety, I further question, do you know me?
I am on social media. BrinnaJ is BRIINAJ. And that's in, I always forget the name of it. Instagram. Thank you. Instagram and TikTok it's TIKTOK. It's probably a new app for you guys, but TikTok. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now for Drake Moreno.
All right.
See, that seems pretty good, yeah. Well, welcome to the poetry. This one is about a beloved little dog who was alive when we moved here, and his name was Lucky. Your job was to mate and create cute little puppies that looked a lot like you. A remarkably beautiful dog, you spent ugly years as a stud in a puppy mill. We adopted you and transformed your miserable existence into a rich life. You brought an abundance of joy, laughter, and love into our world. You got your name because we felt so fortunate to find you, little Maltipoo. Lucky, you were a blessing to your dog-loving and grieving parents. Years after your passing, my tears still flow as I write these words. I still cry whenever I spend more than brief moments at your wooded grave. In my fondest dreams, we still hike those familiar rugged trails together. I will look for your beautiful spirit in the great mystery that lies beyond. This one is called Feminazi Face. The date is January 20th, 2017, and it's a pleasant, partly sunny morning. This is the day that Donald J. Trump will officially replace Barack Obama as America's president. I'm in Nashville's Centennial Park, near the full-scale replica of the Parthenon, awaiting the beginning of the silent inauguration ceremony. The first section, of a published event announcement outlines these details. We will recite the Pledge of Allegiance, hear a prayer, and sing the national anthem. And then at the moment, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, that our new president takes the oath of office, we will observe 15 minutes of silence. We will be civil. We will be orderly and lawful and show love and respect for our country. 400 or so demonstrators, the majority of them female, almost achieved these objectives. Trouble arrives when two middle-aged men pull up to a curb about 400 feet from the crowd. Armed with a bullhorn that is as loud as the sound system on the stage, the men are self-proclaimed Christians, armed with a video camera. Armed with a bullhorn that is as loud as the sound system on the stage, the men are self-proclaimed Christians, here to share God's message with their fellow sinners. A third man is armed with a video camera. He's here to document the hoped-for violence of the so-called peaceable protesters. Basic Bible 101, Basic Biology 101. Why don't you go get a haircut, sir? Why don't you get your man bun cut off? We're holding to the truth and our righteousness. We came here today to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can sing Amazing Grace, but you don't know the grace of God, because you don't know the fear of God. And without the fear of God, you don't get the grace of God. And you don't get it for goodness either. Unless you repent, you shall likewise perish. This is the gospel truth, that light is coming into the darkness today, but you trample on the blood of Jesus Christ. Shame on you, America! We got a bunch of potty-mouthed feminists around here holding up for feminazis, holding up for abortion, holding up for homosexuality. Don't you know that homosexuals deserve death? Now, this is Bible truth, folks, according to Romans chapter 1, verse 32, that those who do such things and those who approve of such things are deserving of death. You're trying to say a prayer, but God does not hear your prayers today. Back home, looking at my photos from the event, one face in the crowd catches my eye. The unknown woman's eyes are closed tight and her brows are knit. I imagine that she might be praying fervently for our nation, or that she might be a Christian, struggling to stifle her tears, her sorrow, and her outrage at the angry, armed men behind her. Men armed with their biblical passage, their big bullhorn, and their bullying hate speech. I named the photo Feminazi Face. This last one is called Homeless Hero. I kind of take a look at society and get some inspiration from it. Homeless Hero by Moreno. That's me. Please don't thank me for my service. Mostly, killing don't feel like service. I'm sorry, sir, but I just hate that phrase. Right now, I'm just a little nervous. And you could say that these days I'm down on my luck. Starting to get a little desperate, maybe. But I sure ain't giving up. I wear these tags and medals to show I'm a vet. I'm proud to be a vet. The VA can't seem to help me. So, yes, sir, I could use a few bucks, you bet. I thank you kindly for the handout, sir. What I really need is a job. I got no family to help me anymore, and I've been saving up to buy a car. I also got this here dog to feed. He's my best friend, and he probably saved my life. Some homeless bum stole my jacket, had himself a switchblade knife. Look on Magnum's nose here. You see that scar? This here dog's a real hero. Me, over there, I just did my job. So I get by, sleep where I can, away from the bums, wear donated clothes. I eat some dinners at dumpster diners, go to homeless shelters when it's real cold. My high school diploma's been nothing but worthless to me. It's hard to find work when folks are worried about that PTSD. Sir, I'm honest, hardworking, got a strong back, and I'm good with most any tool. Any kind of work, sir. And I'd be real grateful to you. Brother, the last time I saw you was on Veterans Day. Now every time I pass your old panhandle spot, I look for you to tell you of a job you can have just for winning your Bronze Star. But I guess you're gone for good. And brother, I hope you saved enough to get that car. Maybe you even landed that church job back home, down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And do forgive me if I thank you for your service, Staff Sergeant George Lee Hanna.
Thank you, Drake. Now we have Stella Reed Patterson.
Thank you. Thank you much. I fell in love with poetry when I was introduced to Langston Hughes. And Langston actually introduced me to all the other writers and poets who made the Harlem Renaissance memorable. But Langston introduced a character named Madame Alberta K. Johnson. This is Madame's past history. My name is Johnson, Madame Alberta K. The Madam stands for business. I'm smart that way. I had a hairdressing parlor before the Depression put the prices lower. Then I had a barbecue stand till I got mixed up with a no-good man. 'Cause I had insurance, the WPA said we can't use you wealthy that way. I said, don't worry about me, just like the song. You WPA folks take care of yourself, and I'll get along. I do cooking, day's work too. Alberta K. Johnson, Madam to you. That's all I had ready, because I didn't know. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you for your patience. Now we have Henry L. Jones. I'm going to give you his bio first. He's a wonderful person, a wonderful artist, and a great friend. About the poet. Henry L. Jones is an award-winning writer and visual artist, as well as an activist and arts advocate who focuses on social issues. Jones's first book of poetry published was Run Into Blackness, Feeling My Poetic Gumbo. In 2019, he'll debut his second book, Black Skillet Blues, Poetry Without Cornbread. In Poetry or Art, Henry delves into the depths of the psyche and a heart with cultural, historical, and spiritual connections. Publications such as Chicago Quarterly Review, IBEJI, eBay Journal, the Vanderbilt Review, Fisk Herald Literary Journal, Blacks in Asia magazine. This is not cooperating. Come on. Urban Flavor. Also, his poetry will be published in our Flatrock anthology this year, Freedom Papers, which we're real excited about. Oh, it's not cooperating. His poetry has been translated into Japanese, Haitian, Creole, and French, and converted into a dance by the Rosa Turner Dance Troupe. He began sharing his poetry at Windows on the Cumberland in Nashville while attending Fisk University. As a student, his major was biology, but he left the sciences after graduate school to pursue the arts. His talent has kept him busy with poetry, features, workshops, community projects, and conferences. You may see some of his exhibited work at the Carl van Becken Fine Art Gallery and Centennial Art Center. He has poetry due to come out in Vision, Czech Republic Project, his play, Another Day, Another Dollar, and other creative pursuits. Play auditions are tomorrow, is that right? Yes. Okay, what time?
2:30 to 4:30.
2:30 to 4:30
At
and
Bordeaux Library.
Bordeaux Library. Cool. So sorry. He's a native from Detroit, Michigan, and a transplant from Chicago, Illinois. A Fisk University graduate, he lives in Middle Tennessee with his wife and 3 children. Welcome, Henry L. Jones.
Perfect. Thank you, Amy. Flatrock, coffee, tea, and more. Been coming here, hearing other people, and I said, one day I'd love to just share more of my work. So I love the opportunity you've given, and I know you didn't have anything to do with the NFL draft, because this was almost a year ago when we talked about it. But I said, you know, just like any other event, people that want to come will come, you know. And so I wish I could have had hot wings for you guys and all these other wonderful parties. I was invited to some parties. I'm like, that seems tempting, but no, I got something to do. I want to share some work, some a little hard, some a little soft. Most of them are in my forthcoming book, Black Skillet Blues, so you get a treat. And I've kind of slipped in a few of my new ones from the book now and then, but you'll be able to hear quite a few. This first poem is titled Wings. When I give you wings, I expect you to fly, not hold your arms stiffly to the side like unmovable giant ancient trees covered with wounds that can't hide within rings revealing Earth's old breeze. Wildfires burn a death camp charcoal pit, leaves smothering in the gases of their own. Lightning ignited the forest with one hit, songs of crackling wood now charbrown. When I give you wings, I too fly, not hide, full of fear and doubt in your brain, refusing to widen your arms and ride the wind, paralyzing your soul to help spring restrain. At least fall free, at least free fall, and glide by faith or pretend. Either the ground will kiss you to death, rejecting who you are and born to be, or wake in flight with the grasses beneath. So right now, jump up from that tree. When I give you wings, I expect you to fly. Not crouched down, crying a storm of tears, tightly shuddering your eyes to what can be. Your body trapped in a cocoon of fears. Tear away those many layers to become free. Remember your vision before you felt crushed. When riding currents was more than in dreams, flying high while looking down, feeling unrushed. Now rise to touch the sun flowing on ancient streams. When I give you wings, I expect you to fly and fly and fly until you feel the wind, my child. This next poem is titled Circus. The circus came to town. I ran into the ring, and like a child around, looking at the clowns, animals, and freaks, until I discovered the circus was in my home. This next one is titled Numbers, the Way It Is. Walter had a family he loved so dear. His wife died of cancer, fighting to the end. Now he's on the streets begging for beer, drinking to see her face, longing to pretend. Mary was a teacher who loved her class, failed herself, got strung out on crack. To feel more alive, now she sells her ass and sleeps in a box as an urban shack. Young Leroy was innocent but put in jail, released after stolen years to make a life. Now too old to work and no skills, he'll fail. Shot trying to rob a man with a rusty knife. Rita cooks soup for people who are lost. Long lines of homeless, they can't hide. Never enough food because of the cost. Some refuse to eat, having too much pride. Little Jay is 13, wants college and work one day. Studying one night, bullet shot him dead. One less POC here, that's the American way. And educated minds, what they really dread. Mama buried 5 kids and feels so empty. 5, 7, 13, 15, and 17, hiding 6 feet down deep. Tears soak their graves near a sycamore tree. More stories for mothers to grieve and weep. Juju Mom sees line dominoes fall down fast. But more headstone games, this violence must go. Throws black and bone faces for another cast. Shuffled numbers reveal we'll see red waters overflow. Newborn cries were the spiritual song of hope. Parents cling knowing another life we must save. Red-eyed demons peek to end, clutching bags of dope. We need more safe and fearless sidewalks to pave. There's some coffee, there's some poetry places. They have alcohol. I'm not much of a drinker, but I love coffee, and that is one of the reasons I love coming here. It's good coffee. And you get inspired to write. You go write about what you love. So this poem, Morning Brew. It's about coffee. On cold mornings when I open the door, a chill blows inside, passing by my robe and across my stream of hot coffee, causing a mist to rise with the aroma of dark brew swirled to my nose again. My thoughts without caffeine return to the dripping sound just an hour ago, waiting for the dripping to end, until my lips touch the edge of my favorite cup, which is strained beyond bleaching and seems to add future flavors on the sips, a familiar and welcome taste, which makes me remember about precious mugs sipped on days just like this, an icy morning creeping into my bones, feeling like the flu, but my heart races from the sudden tremble as the hot darkness blows down my throat, warming my insides to my belly. I cry out with one word of welcome. And since I'm sharing with you my mouth and all these other wonderful things, this next poem is titled Offer Me. My mouth hungers for the delicious offerings and tastes and teas of the field. My taste buds scramble about on the surface of my tongue, awaiting the sweetness of the food while becoming excited and remembering the last honey-tasting fruit in my mouth. My teeth patiently just stare and wait, knowing they must do most of the work of smashing and grinding each piece until the throat opens for the passage and allows the mouth to sing how wonderful this fruit is. I'm a foodie. I really love food, so it's kind of natural. I tap into that. This poem is titled Wars. I love reading about history, and my conclusion is that as human beings, we love killing things. We love wars. And I look forward to the day we are dealing with this mess, but I said, maybe it's in our nature just to do this. And maybe we can kind of modify it where we're not destroying, churches and bombing things and all this other mess. I think we live a lot better with each other. War blends the emotions of what we wish to have freedom from the choices of peace beyond closed doors. The true goals of the wars are discussed and decided by those who are sacrifices are simply numbers of moves on a board, but the game never ends. I try to study the human psyche and understand things. And there's a lot of violence in the past and even what's going on now. And then when I read about all these incidents, I'm like, man, what is going on here? But then think about this. There's certain movies we watch. If you remove that violence, like I like zombie movies. But could you see a zombie movie, they're just like pushing against you, they're not trying to eat you. Nobody's shooting the zombies. So maybe deep down inside we got something innate, because a lot of popular movies deal with a lot of blowing up, shooting, and chasing each other and shooting. And when we're kids, what do we do on the playground? We chase after each other. If we're guys, we're going to be tackling each other. If it's boys and girls, you might The girls might try to kiss you, or you might try to kiss the girls. Everybody's screaming and running and running and running. It's all about us moving towards something. And I was like, man, so are we predestined to do this stuff in terms of the running, the chasing, the blowing, and the, you know, all that? And I'm wondering, where do we get this from, you know? So this one here is a poem about lynching, because I saw all these photos when I worked at a library, a special collections library, and I was just trembling and in tears because I'm a visual person, and all these images just kept flooding me. And this came in. I was back there. It's called Inhaling Death. The wind blew a funky aroma of death which lingered deeply up the nose, causing you to rub and pinch it. Nothing seemed to wipe the scent away. A gray fog burned the eyes and dreams into a cataract vision, blinding hope. Clear, sunny days now were filled with a cluster of dusty clouds. Trees swayed as though trying to fan away the smoky layers of ash, blocking the sun's eyes and rays. Still, were blinded by the fumes. The green soldiers choke from the battle. Not enough of them survive or still thrive, and nothing but toys to save, make enough air or unveil the sun. They starve as their rings unshorten. The reaper's hot breath curls their leaves, dying in the lust for criminal profit, where the ends justify the means, and the smell of death keeps blowing in the wind. And this is a party. In America, there was a certain word that I don't use anymore because the translation, when I found out the translation, I was like, oh, that's horrible. It's called a picnic. And I just want to challenge you to look up the origin of that word, and you'll be horrified. Because the picnic in America was basically a black person was grabbed, male, female, any age, and then a celebration was used. It was a horrible thing. So, let me take you into some love movements. Everybody likes love. Our love. You are my fire, of which I burn, glowing and healed by you, until the passion turns me into a gentle ash, where I lay in silence, feeling my sweat dripping, to be resurrected again and again and again, and then die by your fire, again and again and again. There is just me and you and this fire. Of course, dedicated to my wife. Another love poem. I've written love poems. I went through that whole phase. Someone came up and said, you don't write love poems. You got all this heavy stuff about social. Life is a balance, of things. And I said, I write love poems, So I'm sharing these with you guys because I said, people don't think I write love poems. I do. And this next poem is titled, Into You. Engaged and bonded between each other, we linger for hours just looking into each other's eyes, awaiting something perhaps sudden to happen and surprise us. We're covered with the symbols of the past, giving clues of who we were. Now bookmarked for references to bring back those places and feelings. Instead, the stairs open the doors where lies and truth swim together in a world of vision, but no one can see what is pure in the whites. Instead, the pupils lure us to keep looking for the meaning of who we are and what we are. Beyond those symbols etched in our flesh as hidden walls, which have lost each other in truth, meanings, but we just watch and wait to explain each other enough to fall in love with what we see and enjoy being lost again and again and again, just into you. I'm not a drinker, but I've had my moments in the past. And I have a certain taste I like. And this piece is from Running the Black. It's called Yellow Eyes. Because I've had the whites of my eyes have never been white. I've always had the yellow. And I used to swim. And I have all kind of allergies. And when I was growing up, the only antihistamines made you drowsy. So I would show up to school in places with these yellow eyes, kind of sleepy, half awake, and people said, man, he done got high again. Jones just stays high all the time. Because they'd see all of the yellow in my whites, and I'd be kind of like, yeah. So I had to stop taking antihistamines and just deal with it. But another account of yellow eyes is when you drink a lot, right? Yellow eyes, television beyond Russian gin cravings, morning remorse alarms me. Warmth left too soon, not the same as touching, but close enough for the illusion. Liquid prophecy flowing, numbing, and inspiring me. Who will save us now? Fluids to make me feel. Here, phantom friends reflected in the empty glass and empty me. How we doing for time? Good? Okay. This poem, Amy mentioned the 2020 Check Project, and I will share the poem from that project with you. I was given an image, and the image, photographer's last name is Price. Terry Price, yes. And when I looked at it, I saw a guy looking out of the window, second story, and I was like, oh, yeah. Photographer shot somebody, photographed somebody looking out a window. And I was like, as a visual artist, I'm trying to connect what this other visual artist saw. And have you ever met someone or caught up with an old friend and say, how you doing? They say, I'm fine. And you're looking at their facial expression or the look in their eyes, and you're like, nah, you're going through something. I can tell it's in your face. And I kept Terry Price's picture on my desktop of the computer because I wanted that to come in. I'm jotting down all kind of poems, got about 15 different versions and insight. Anyway, I looked into the face of that man on the second story of the window of the building, and I saw this sadness. As you look at paintings and all, and they say, look at the eyes. People look at art and say, look at the eyes, how the artist captured those eyes and all that. But I saw in that old man, he was an old man's face, this sadness. And then that's when it started to begin. Because I had these fears of loss throughout my life. And there was a moment I thought I was going to lose my wife, and then we got kids, we were going through some medical things, and just overbearing sadness. So I placed myself in that same position as that old man, because he looked like he lost so much. And this poem came out. And so I was talking with him visually. And it's titled, I Am Still Searching for You. Where are you, my love? Again, I stand here looking up and down into the streets, searching for your face. Amongst the crowds of people passing like a flowing stream, I stare while counting heads, hoping one was your crown, glistening along the currents to eventually rise up for air, to see me along the shore and reach for one of my hands. My fingers grasping the windowsill, instead of you, there's rotten wood, covered with chipped lead paint, releasing flakes, drifting to the road where lovers embrace each other to prevent falling back into loneliness. The same desolation I know too well, while my probing eyes become tired, hoping to see you again if I keep watch, until back in each other's warm arms, holding our love beyond the fears, twisting our hearts of their bitterness, leaving a sweetness found in the curved rations of our passions when we cling, until the years of emptiness were released, filling us with only our love to overflow, drowning and floating as the wind blows, our echoed moans through the pains. This is why I still want to find you, my love, at this glassy portal of our joyful memories, now a black hole eclipsing the sunny days, preventing rays to refract the crystal vase, overflowing with broken lilies holding on, and the stench of old water smelling like death. I know you're still alive out there somewhere. They lied to me, comforted me with cold prayers like the stones of this building, rocks to remind me again of the marble pillar with your engraved name to find you below, covered in layers of dirt instead of my kisses. You are coming down that path soon. I know it's true because I found your smile on the face of a young woman holding flowers. Her fists clutch the hairy roots of them, seeking to taste cool water to live again, thirsty like we were before we found our love. This is why I stand here, 35 years later, longing for your fingers to caress my lips, to silence my mind of worrisome thoughts about this world now so empty without you, finding alone to hold on to each day to life. So I am still searching for you, my love. Thank you. This next poem is titled, In Passing Along This Way. We got all these devices supposedly to communicate, but very seldom we just meet somebody, start talking, share moments. You know, we're going to be on the phone sharing stuff. And so this one, it's about how I think we are slowly kind of physically fading away. We're fading away because we're becoming our devices, and that's how we connect. And I do it. I wake up, I check, see what's going on in the world, right? That's how you get information. Your phone. You know. When was the last time you saw somebody with a watch? You say, what time is it? Like, how many people are wearing a watch in here today? Just, Stella, you got a watch? Oh. Y'all weird. You need your phone, see? Now there are these watches that are showpieces. They really don't tell. Have you seen the watches? They don't tell time. They're more decorative. Now, who has the decorative kind versus an actual watch? They really work. His work. See, she didn't say anything. I think yours is decorative. It's a regular watch. Okay. Y'all weird. Because I got a watch I haven't wanted probably in 10 years, if not longer. So.
Now I just ask Google the time.
See what I mean? Exactly. Mm-hmm. And passing along the way, we're vague echoes of our bodies. We float in while passing each other on streets and parks and groups, hoping to touch each other and know our hazy sounds, much like fog, is enough substance to make us feel real and less empty inside and alive. So we reach to touch each other and believe we're alive. So I have a musician friend that I met. We met when I was an extra for a movie. And it was a zombie movie. I love zombie movies, that's what I love. And they had us laying on the ground, and we couldn't move because they were doing other stuff, but we had to lay there. So as we lay there, we couldn't move, but we could talk. So he and I, he's older gentleman, we're just talking. This is hot tar pavement, probably in the summer, I don't remember what, but we got to know each other and everything. The movie is over, and the stuff we did really wasn't a lot. And I'm like, man, this is not cool. It wasn't paid, but good food. And I'd never done anything like that, and I love zombie movies. I said, yeah, why not? But I met him, and we became friends for many years and learned that he was a jazz musician, which I love jazz, and we've collaborated. Well, he and his wife had a 50th anniversary, and he asked me to write something dedicated to them. And, I've written stuff on my wife. And I was like, man, that's cool. And I tried to envision 50 years with someone. My wife and I celebrated 25 years last year, which it just like, I was like, man, that's like, but, because I have friends, they've been married like 3-4 times and all this mess, or they just like, no more. So I want to share this poem with you. It's called The Music of Our Golden Jubilee. It's dedicated to Ernie and Nolia Newsom, a wonderful team. Baby, and I wish one day I want him to play his sax when I recite this, because this is only my second time reciting this. And baby, let me play for you music to tingle your ears. Just close your eyes and listen as love fades all your fears. Baby, let me play for you an old song from the past. Memories flow like the notes we knew our love would last. Baby, let me play for you, blow a tune through my lips, as you sway to the rhythm, dancing gently with your hips. Baby, let me play for you, you're my queen, my friend, my wife. Emptiness would fill my days if you weren't in my life. Baby, let me play for you love lyrics about our love. You know, baby, you got me, even when we reach above. Baby, let me play for you, because I'll never tire of loving you. With our faith, strength, and humor, we always made it through. Baby, let me play for you to bring out your beautiful smile. After 50 years of our love song, I'll keep playing this song a while. How we doing? Good? Okay. This next poem is, I don't want to read it, it's sad. Amy mentioned the anthology coming up. It's called Freedom Papers. And I didn't ask you how many we can submit, but this is one of them. Okay, all right, I'll add more. This is one of the poems that's going to be in the anthology. And, you know, we were online, some of the other writers discussing that whole concept of freedom. And freedom is like love, because what's freedom to one may not be freedom to another and all that. It's kind of hard to say what freedom is, especially in different countries, you know. So freedom. Lost in urban fields of concrete and steel instead of corn and cotton. Don't you dare speak or walk too far from your neighborhood, or we'll let the blood flow to make them remember. Total recall blistered from hours in the sun. Pineal blocks make being less spiritual. Spreading fade cream on your face to be new, safe, and maybe passionate. Still those dreams coat eyelids in mornings, salty crud to remain. Preserve generational lies, whispered by refusing to listen what happened in darkness. So you don't want to be black? Blending into those stories with full moon's only eye, casting a path to freedom. But few really ran when sung, or listened with their hearts. Those songs never faded, echoing still in the wind. Freedom seems so empty, when still you wonder today, while driving, walking, jogging, shopping, partying, or sitting, you will be beaten or killed. Whether you speak politely or with defiance, nothing matters. They're just standing their ground, urban hunt some same dogs, knowing the scent from the meat of the past meat. Hunger for violence and revenge, awaiting the promised race war and the return of their land and bride. Controlling the new slaves, working using an app to control them outside while living in a world of VR reality. We don't need slaves, we don't need, you know, but when I hear people want these certain pass back, I'm like, whatever. This next one is titled Make Some Room. This is from right in the blackness. She prayed for a stranger to love her, then called out in Jesus' name, her heart still full of bitterness, but had no one else to blame. Cataract eyes blurred her dreams, cracked lips whispered twisted lies. She wanted lust to remove her misery, but in her bedroom, passion just dies. A frightened child peeks into the room. She seeks strong, warm arms to embrace, to give comfort when her legs get cold, while running away from love and grace. Her face turns away, feeling unworthy, not dead, but desiring to see the light. Still clutching her bag of broken promises, the old fool hell bent on being right. She screamed for a stranger to save her, lift her up before she drowned in gloom, bring her back to life with a gentle kiss, but her heart never made the room. This last one here. Is going to be a happy one. I was going to read this Earth Day poem, just read a couple of days, about a week ago. But this last one is titled Abstractions Healed. I'm an artist and I'm a writer. And some people's like, well, what do you do? What do you like to do? And all this. And I used to think, for whatever reason, that you only had to do one thing. But you got people that can do this, they can do that, and it's whatever comes out of you, and that's just what I do. And this poem was when all those thoughts, when I really thought, like, y'all don't tell me how I express. So this poem kind of bridges the visual and the literary. And it's kind of personal because I wrote it for myself, but then it's been used in some projects and stuff, and I felt proud of that and honored. Abstractions here. Fear trapped the darkness in my skin. Some of my expression must live as whispers, and then some must die as screams. These symbols to explain my dark definition are but shadows cast on my dreams. Words that mourn lost inspiration, seeking love and understanding for these eyes. A history of lynch baptism and a whispering golden sphinx without lies. What beast is my form, made by black magic, a snake that dances to the sun? As rhythm and light bend for creation, the shedding of my fear has begun. The joy and relief of a fearless darkness, our beauty not mocked or shamed. A healing by voiceless abstractions through these eyes that once only blamed. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was amazing. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Another hand for Henry. All right, next up we have Jay Prince. Gotta mess it up. Yeah, right. Cool.
How's everyone? It's been a minute since I've been in here. I wrote this poem, well, I rewrote it. I had it for a long time, but I kind of revamped it. But this here is called Another Side. I live to worship as I stand on the premises placed upon my heart and soul. I walk this long road with a big goal that's staying alive. As I strive for greatness, I desire more of God's glory. I will, I shall, and I must live to worship, celebrate all of it. In order to believe in God, you must first believe in the light of Scripture. Understand and recognize the big picture. See, thanking God for life, thanking God for life, giving me a clear sight, holding my head up high as I constantly walk, as I constantly become refreshing by God's presence. He fills my heart and warms my soul. As the world takes its toll, I unfold my prayers to the Almighty, and I highly praise Him for all of His glory. Within this timeline, evolves into a long story. Slowly but surely, I witness the results of how my cup runs over with joy. See, the cup is your life. He will fill your life with joy. Without any worries, you live to worship the one who's already handled your everyday situation. He deciphers the grand design for those who are unable to decide. Once you are filled with joy, there's no reason for you to backtrack towards the last ride. Now look, what the Holy Spirit has done, you are free, forgiven. You are free and you are forgiven. So to sum everything up, you must honor your loved ones as days lapse longer. Your heart and your soul get stronger, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Live and live to the fullest, because God is always healing. Just chill. I want to give everybody a message on life. As we all know, life is such a wicked way of, it has its own journey. That's how wicked it is. So as you're taking a walk down memory lane, you witness change after change. Sometimes it can be a game. Each day is not the same. Some days it rains. You can live the good life now, but you'll turn around and it could all be gone. You could lose everything trying to figure out what went wrong. See, in life, it's the same old song. Life is like a slideshow. Life is what you shall cherish in order to stay afloat. What's the meaning of life? We ask ourselves, whatever you make out of it, that's what God's answer would be. Sometimes in life you can be lost. When you find yourself in life, it comes with a cost. You can't pause life. Time can't stop itself, nor you can stop it. You can't change what's been started. See, we spend our entire lives searching for greatness and walking in a road where the work we strive for becomes endless. At times, things turn out good, some even bad, but depending on where time takes you, things could get worse. This all depends on how you deal with life. Thank you, God.
Thank you so much, Jay. That was great. Now, Jay is our feature January of 2020. We've already got all the features of next year. But thank you, Jay. Now, I've got, anybody else want to read again, or for the first one? You want to go? Yeah, go for it. Yeah, why not?
That's because I just worked on this yesterday, and I'm gonna try it out with somebody.
There you go. Thank you.
I really like what he said about life, and I think this is like following that. this is about my life. He's a white boy born on a farm in West Virginia and raised by his grandparents after his parents died of a drug overdose. He is a Navy vet and went into aviation mechanics. We moved several times a year throughout my childhood. I being oldest of four, I was the mover and forced and trained not to feel a thing. To work with him, a demanding and abusive dictator, as would become me someday. I gained upper body strength and developed a very strong character. The moving around often meant no party for me. I was always the new girl in school. I lived in 7 different states, attended 8 different schools before I entered high school. We eventually made it back to California with my 2 half-sisters and my half-brother in tow. The family I was in were now homeless and forced to live in a park in Los Angeles until he completed training for a job with American Airlines. My mother conceived me when she was 15. My mother's family were very much in the military. My grandmother didn't approve of interracial relationships nor with an immigrant from Peru, and she shipped my mother off to Hawaii to live with my mother's older sister. My mother eventually returned to California and gave birth to me at the age of 16. 2 or 3 years later, my mother married her sister's husband, who then became he. I was never allowed contact with my biological father nor his family. She was a stay-at-home wife and mother and a middle school dropout, so I became my mother's playmate. I was only allowed to go where my mother went, and she loved to go out very late at night, driving around downtown or to the beach, since my stepfather worked graveyard shifts. She would often leave my half-siblings at home and take me to the grocery store shopping. We would often stop and get ice cream or donuts. What a special treat. My mother loved to play cards, and we could always play cards until all hours of the night, including late-night snacks, which made me feel very special. My stepfather hated this. He wanted all the control, and so he would often hit me or taunt me at every opportune moment that arose. When my mother was not around, I began banging my head, hitting myself, pinching myself at age 8. I learned people-pleasing techniques. Although I didn't know this at the time, I was really good at it. Manipulation was my crime. I was raised from a position of fear and condemnation. I realize now that my parents suffer from a lot of hurts, habits, and hang-ups that were now hereditarily. I have had to show them the grace that was never shown to me. It took a very long time to get here where I am. Where am I? I'm on a journey. I was conditioned and manipulated to make choices on demand at a young age without explanation, and if not, or I did not choose what their right was, it caused me much pain. A hopeless victim of my low self-esteem issues, I am now aware impulsiveness is one. I remember the boot camp-like incidences with my stepfather towering over me and screaming how I was spineless and worthless and would never amount to anything. No man would ever want me, he would proclaim. His reflexes always struck me in my mouth. He was my first bully. He often called me stupid, made fun of my appearance and weight, which very much prevented me from wanting to excel in anything or to bring any attention. Dinner was not a pleasant time. I had to wait until the other children's plates were prepared, and my stepfather would usually shout his dislikes at me throughout meals and shockingly bang his fists on the table. I eventually learned that the faster I ate, the less pain it would cause me. So I would eat fast and furious and then later hide food in my room or binge eat with my mother late at night. I can't remember a time in my childhood when I wasn't in a certain survival mode. School was where I slept because if I wasn't out with my mother, I was forced to do the housework, which in my rebellion left me standing for hours at the kitchen sink. I had to take care of my siblings and cook and clean, and if I missed the bus because I overslept, it was a beating. He would throw ice-cold water on me to wake me up or twist my toes. I arose in terror. Terror had already taken my scream. I couldn't sleep without fear that he was coming into my room. My abuser defined my reality that I was helpless to change. These were only a few incidences. There were too many to range. I was 7 when my mother told me that the man I thought hated me was not my biological father. This didn't go over very well in my undeveloped mind, as she left me with lots of unanswered questions, those I would not be allowed to ask. So I made my own conclusions that why my stepfather treated me differently. Several encounters with him left me dazed and unsure of where I was. At one point, he put a sheet around my neck, squeezed until the last memory I have is of him tapping my face and laughing at my loss of consciousness. The cast iron skillet was his choice tool in disciplining. There were times I can't remember where I lost. There were times I can't remember where I lost memory of where I was, if even for a moment. The sting of the leather strap across my back, my side, legs and arms, head and buttocks. Using a metal vacuum pole or tree limb, can we stop this stride? Don't scream, you better not scream, he would say. I heard, you better not feel. Is this the world? I would arrive to elementary school with bruises, and I quickly learned to keep my mouth shut. I once had a persistent school counselor who, in her attempts to save me, caused more beatings, and I knew then I had to stay away. In the world where I was living, I was trapped, forced to go inside my own mind. I couldn't trust anyone. I latched onto this fear into adolescence and into adulthood. When I reached high school, if I missed the bus, I would hitchhike to school. Go figure. I had to find refuge somewhere. Fear made me react, but that's a testimony for another day in my determination. I met a lot of different characters on those rides. Fear taught me to run away from home, and around the age of 13, after a severe beating which left my legs bleeding, I'm not sure which is most traumatic. Forced to choose that tree limb, retrieving the leather belt and voluntarily handing it over to my abuser, or the beatings themselves. You see, any form of discipline without love is just a traumatizing experience for the one receiving it. He never talked to me, never hugged me, he never even chose me. I ran to a neighbor's house who immediately called the police. I was put in a group home in California, and then I learned everything else I had not been allowed to do. I was alone, and it was just easier to follow the crowd. I was bullied in school, and that's where I thought I could be safe, so therefore I was trapped in my world. I had already begun smoking, then alcohol and marijuana were added to the mix. I would take whatever was given to me, any kind of pill. I continued late night rendezvous, only now with older men. The alcohol and drugs just later became anesthesia, so I could be a people pleaser and keep the person around. Just playing cards didn't work anymore. My parents were on the move again, and my mother went to the group house to make another attempt to convince me to come home. Fear again raised its ugly head. I was so afraid that my mother would leave and I'd never see her again that I told the judge what he needed to hear, so I would be sent home with them. In the car ride, she told me I'd have to apologize to my stepfather for the pain I caused. Apparently, people were accusing him of sexually abusing, and although I had never made that claim, the sexual abuse had already occurred from a different family member when I was 8. We arrived in Tennessee in the 80s, and shortly it began again. As a teen, my mother locked me into the D.C. juvenile detention. After several attempts at running away and skipping school, my fear was now my best friend. I was called unruly, but no one truly had any idea what I was going through. However, I remember feeling a slight amount of relief that I would be able to sleep peacefully on that hard cement bed. After the metal door slammed shut, It wouldn't be until much later that I would discover that Jesus had been in that cell with me. One of the guards gave me my book that I was arrested with, and against the rules, she allowed me to read myself to sleep. Oh, how I loved to read. I was very content in my solitude. To me, that solitude meant that I no longer needed to see the reflection in other people's eyes of my incompetence. However, I just knew this as safety. I thought I was in control as I needed none, but now I know. It always turns bad when I try to stay on my own. A few years later, during one late night rendezvous, I was given something in my drink at a house party, then carried back to a room and raped. I was dropped off at the side of the road, and to this day I don't remember who took my soul. The violation left me in a victim state. I don't know how or who my attacker was. The shame and guilt consumed me. I blamed myself for allowing myself to become so vulnerable, and I felt so dirty. I used more drugs and alcohol to make me a different person. I so wanted to be something else. I never said a single word to anyone ever until Jesus gave me my recovery. My first anxiety attack was when I was 16. I remember the place, the hour, and how I was so fearful I thought my insides were going to come shooting out of my mouth. The fear consumed me. I had no idea what was happening to me. There would be many more to come after that. I've attempted suicide on 3 different occasions, just trying to turn off the voices, allowing myself time to think before giving a response is difficult for me. I struggle daily with food triggers, anger and rage issues, anxiety, short-term memory loss, fear of rejection, fear of failure, and a need to control other people and my surroundings. God has led me here, and through His Son's recovery, I have come a long way from being controlled by my issues. Even though I still have a ways to go, I'm no longer a slave to fear. We are no longer friends, but now respected foes. Race was everything in my life growing up. I could never fit in at school. The whites couldn't figure out what I was, and I couldn't tell them, so I was a member of the Breakfast Club by default. I was once told by a teacher at a TCAP exam that I had the best of both worlds and could choose white when I needed and Hispanic when it came time for college, but I never felt college was even within my reach. I struggled in math, and my stepfather had decided to take on the role to force me to learn. So with a belt in one hand and the times table sheet in the other, this went on for years, but I never made it to prom. I dropped out in the 10th grade. When I fell into motherhood, I was disowned by the only family I knew because my children were from a black man. I was already carrying the nickname Beaner from members of my mother's side. White was the only way to be. For the first 2 years, I was not allowed to see my siblings, and my mother's father mailed me letters to tell me why I was not invited to the family reunion and how I was a disgrace to the family. My mother denied that my stepfather ever abused me. She abandoned me as a child and again later as an adult. The rejection was overwhelming. I resented her for that. I often thought about God, but figured there was no use in me thinking that anyone so perfect would want anything to do with me. After a brush with the law because of shoplifting and food drug possession, I was in the back of a squad car again. I needed to make a change, but how? Why was there any point now? I was convinced I had crossed over, and it was too far to go back now. Thank you.
It's tingling. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. Very brave. Anybody else want to read? Is it okay if I read some short ones, like 2 short ones, and then we'll call it a day? To find them. Thank you for your patience. I'll stop. Moment of silence, I guess. Okay, the first one is called Deco, and actually, you know those refrigerator magnets? It was completely written with refrigerator magnets back in the day. Okay, deco. Purple summer beneath diamond sky, goddess, forest mother, sleeps after red day. Swim here, recall those from languid sun and water, and one from lazy garden feet together must beat like cool mist sea. Worship, be, soar, above the time moan, picture when ships were beauty gowns. Please say, hot honey light, woman shine, moon delirious, what the lather said, urges her bitter blue rose, gorgeous language, shadow whispers, you chant, why love dreams on. This one's not finished yet. It's a scrap, no scraps. It's called No Apocalypse. My heart is blue as a well. Maybe you couldn't tell. The bus rushes through our neighborhood as if nothing was blooming, as if it wasn't spring, learning to bend like a willow so as not to snap in two. My heart is blue as a well. Maybe yours is too. We were awake then, informed by history, current events. We're awake now. History didn't die. It just got covered up, day by day, till no one saw the long path back, much less the steady path to come. Is apocalypse more your goal than being good stewards of the planet? What truths inform you if not God's infinite light and love? Or do you believe in an exclusive one where many cannot enter your gates? Thank you. So that's not finished yet. I'm still working on that one. Well, that's all I've got. Anybody else? Cool. Okay. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for. Oh, we're gonna do a group picture if that's cool. Group picture. Oh, do you want to read? Do you want to read? I'm serious.
Yeah, she does.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yay, we have another reader. What's your name?
Paige.
Paige. Welcome, Paige.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me look through and find one. I have a couple on here. Should I do, which one should I do?
What?
Which one should I do? The one from the Walden meeting? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Paige Burge. I'm a freshman at Trevecca Nazarene University. Nursing major, but I've been doing spoken word since my freshman year of high school. And so this is a nice little outlet for me. I've always really enjoyed it. This one is called His Hand. His hand slipped into mine. It was nothing new to me. In fact, it had become routine. His index finger was just a simple gesture that let me know that he missed our palms being pressed together. I'd always mess with him a little bit. Pulling my hand away quickly, he'd roll his eyes. But we both know that I would giggle and let him weave his fingers through my own. I would lead, weaving our way through the crowds. Maybe it's because I just can't walk slow. Or maybe it's because he would always get glares when he would scoot past. Eventually the crowd thinned out and he pulled me back, reminding me that it's okay to slow down. Reluctantly, my steps go from a hasten to a stroll. We begin talking and laughing, simple banter, retorts and chuckles, simple little shoves to throw the other off balance. That's when the stares begin. I'm sure they were happening earlier, but slowing down always makes the eyes more obvious. We get the cute smiles, the squinty-eyed glee that lets us know that they're wondering what our future is going to look like. But then the glares begin, the side eyes that cut into your soul and makes you wonder what you could possibly be doing wrong, but I know. I'm being judged for loving someone who doesn't look like me, and he's being judged for touching me. So I stand a little taller while he holds my hand a little tighter. I always hope he won't notice. He always does. The worst things are the whispers. They remind me of my grandparents' whispers. Well, more like yells. And I think he remembers it too. That's when he pulls his hand out of mine. So I started the conversation that originally came to a stop, and then I remember the time that I told him that I wished I was alive when Frank Sinatra was. But he responded, yeah, but if we were born then, we could have never been together. That made me stop in my tracks. It still makes me stop in my tracks, but if we stop, we can never move forward. If we stop, it will all just rewind, and then that hand that makes me feel safe, the one that's intertwined with mine, the one that always finds its way into my own, will never be there again. And that hand would not be a part of our hands, so I slipped my hand in his. And then I have one more. This one shows a lot of my heart. It's probably one of my most vulnerable pieces so far. I'm working on a couple more that haven't been finished yet. But this one was pulled out of me by one of my close friends. We did a Women's History Month spoken word event on Trevecca's campus 3 weekends ago. And so this one took me like 3 weeks to write, and I kind of fell in love with this piece. So this one's called Curves. I've had boobs since the 6th grade. I'm not talking a training bra-sized chest. I'm talking women's section shopping and underwires since I was 11. And I hated it. I was bullied for it, so my breasts became my biggest insecurity. Yet, the men who told me that I had a treasured chest were once the same boys who teased me for being too fat, not realizing that breasts were what once gave them life. So I hid my body, big t-shirts, tight sports bras, and because I could not see my own figure for years, I hated that I had one. My physical strength became my source of power. No one wanted to mess with the girl who could pitch a softball at 50 miles an hour. Yet in my disguise, I earned the title tomboy. My femininity was societally stripped away. People screamed that I couldn't wear elaborate makeup while rocking a sick Gators jersey. I was told I had to choose, that my eclectic and ever-changing style was wrong, so I chose. I forced myself to fit into frilly dresses and lacy shirts that made my body itch. I went to places that I would have preferred to ditch. But I did it all in the name of feminism. In my hurry to become the ideal vision of a woman, I ignored my body, allowed men to use it, followed the latest diet trends, and gave myself permission to ignore my body's pleas. When I finally began to listen to her, I was diagnosed with something unexpected, a disorder that left me and still leaves me questioning my fertility. In that moment, I no longer felt like a woman. Not only did I not look like society's conceptual idea of a female, I now did not fulfill society's idea of a woman's purpose. My body continued to stay hidden, while Victoria's Secret continued to push their agenda that women could only be size 0 with perky breasts. So finding my own wings didn't seem to be an option in such a skinny society, which is a true way to strip a woman of her divinity diagnosed with a disorder, one that told me until I came to the revelation that Queen was right. Fat-bottomed girls sure as heck make the rockin' world go round. My curves are unique. No other woman's body curves the same way as mine. No other woman will choose to adorn their body the way that I do. And femininity can be masculine. So please excuse me as I paint my lips red and chant at the television in hopes of seeing my voice score. Please remember that I am still a woman even though I prefer blue over pink. Please move on when you notice I'm gifted in the boob department. Please forgive me when I can't bear my own chody due to my body's flaws, because I've forgiven myself. And because of that, I was able to remind one of my girls at work that she is a curvy queen, a woman who is smart, strong, independent, and loved, despite a 3rd grade boy's comment on her size, because women are so much more than their looks. So little man, you best stop talking. She's the kind of woman that you're going to want when you start to care about girls one day.
Please come back. Please come back. Thank you so much.
Last weekend here.
Where are you going?
School's over this week, so I go back to Florida. Yeah.
I'm so glad you were able to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Please stay in touch. I've got the sign-up sheet here. I put your name, because we're doing a video, so we'll put your name in there.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, and if you'll leave your email, I'll send you a link.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. All right, well, thank you all so much. It's been a beautiful afternoon, so powerful, and so many moving stories. I really appreciate your time and coming out. So we'll be here again next. Let's see, I think it's I'm not sure the exact date, but it's the 4th Saturday with Nathan Spoon as the feature. So look forward to seeing you again then. Thank you so much.